All right. Good morning, everyone. We have 11 o'clock, so we're going to get started here today. First of all, I would like to welcome you to today's Wyoming Community Navigator Program webinar. We have the wonderful Tanya Harrison joining us again today, so we're so excited to have her. Just to give you a little bit of information, as I said, I'm Mandy Bailey, the Advising and Education Director for the Wyoming Community Navigator Program. I'm going to be your facilitator today, working behind the scenes. So I'll post some information in the chat. I'll try and facilitate questions as much as possible. And if there's technical difficulties, I'll facilitate those to the best of my ability. Just to give you a bit of information about the Wyoming Community Navigator Program, we are a pilot program funded through the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we utilize Wyoming's entrepreneurial support network to reduce barriers that all small businesses often face, including those owned by groups such as women, veterans, communities of color, and rural communities. We do this through a hub and spoke model to pursue our goals. Through our collective efforts, the hub and the spoke provide training, access to capital, and access to other resources to help small business owners build resiliency and ultimately be the driving force behind Wyoming's economic recovery. As I mentioned, we have Tanya Harrison with us again this week. If you were here last week, she provided us with so much phenomenal information, so we're happy to welcome her back. Tanya is the founder and CEO of Signal Partners, and she has been transforming operations and helping small businesses for over 25 years. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tanya.
Good afternoon and hello, everyone. Welcome again. I am Tanya Harrison and I'm excited. So this is one of those topics that I absolutely love. But then again, I'll probably say that about all my operations topics. So today we are going to be talking about the 90-day game plan. One of the things that you may have figured out by now in your business is that planning is key, and sometimes it can be a bit difficult, right? So what I want to do today is I want to share a framework with you that I use that is not really complex. It's simple and straightforward because I find that that is best when we're talking about all things operations. If you have any questions at all as we go through this presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat or ask the question as we go along. You don't have to worry about holding them to the end. I want to make sure that you are taking away some really great nuggets and being able to implement them immediately within your small business. I want to start out by asking anyone that is willing to drop this information, if you could just share with me what type of business you have. As I go through the presentation, I really like to provide examples when I can, because I find that it helps to make the information a bit more relatable. So if you can drop those in there, and if I have examples, I'll definitely make sure to use them throughout the presentation. Custom woodworking. All right, thank you. So when we were talking about goal settings, there it is, IT company, life and health insurance agency. Okay, nutrition, health coaching business. Oh, cool. So when we're talking about setting goals and creating plans, this is something that all businesses benefit from. And I was reading an article from Forbes that actually listed this as one of the top 5 reasons businesses fail, and that's due to lack of planning and strategy. There's so many benefits when it comes to planning, but just a couple. It provides clear direction and target. So what I find is working with small business owners, we have a lot going on and we have limited resources, and it could be really easy to lose focus and not have clear direction. So what goal setting and planning does is it provides that clear direction and target. Again, it narrows your focus so you're not as overwhelmed, and it increases productivity, efficiency, and profit. I don't know if any of you had an opportunity to read the Four Disciplines of Excellence, but in there, when they're talking about, setting your goals or wildly important goals, they refer to them as WIGs. They tell you to limit how many you set so that you are not so overwhelmed with trying to accomplish everything at once. And that's one of the things I'm going to recommend to you today as well, not to set so many goals. Now, there is a cost to not implementing goal planning. We know what the benefits are. We know one of the costs could be business failure, but also loss of time. And again, this is because we are not focusing on some of the things that we need to focus on. Also, there's a loss of revenue, 20 to 30% per year due to inefficiency. So anytime we have things streamlined and organized and functioning as efficient as possible, then we are able to realize greater profits within our business. And then the last one is opportunity loss and profits. I want to talk a little bit about big businesses and how they use them in their business. And if any of you worked in corporate, you know that for most businesses, planning is a big deal. So big of a deal that the consulting industry is a $329 billion market, right? So a lot of large organizations, they have no problem in investing when it comes to bringing consultants in and bringing people in to help them do their strategic planning and goal setting and things like that. One of the things that I find that is really beneficial, regardless of the size of your business, is to make planning a part of the culture. Even if you are a solopreneur, if it's just you in your business, you still want to plan. And when you bring people on, it's just already ingrained and it's a natural part of the culture. Another thing that I find that within the big businesses, the ones that are really effective at it, they effectively communicate. So from the highest level all the way to the lowest level, everybody is on the same page. Everybody knows what the goal is and what we're headed towards. I worked at a company that did this extremely well, and their goal was to become number one in the industry. We all knew how we played a part in that ultimate goal, and we were all on the same page. Visibility and accountability. It has to be visible. You can post it up on your board. You can put it as your screensaver, but make sure it's visible. And if you have a team, you make sure that everyone is accountable, including yourself. So these are some of the takeaways that I took away from big businesses, right? I want to answer the question, annual versus 90-day planning. This is a question that I get. How often should I plan? And my recommendation is that you set goals annually, but your plan should be 90 days. And the reason why I say this for small businesses is because when we're talking about planning, I'm talking about listing out everything that you need to do on a regular basis for the next 90 days in order to accomplish your goals. So it's a pretty detailed plan. And when we start doing that for a longer period of time, because things can be fluid and change frequently, the plan quickly becomes outdated. Another reason is because 90 days is a good opportunity to focus, right? To have your focus for the next 90 days. This is all that I'm looking at. This is what I'm doing. And it helps to kind of, again, narrow that focus and streamline things. So setting the goal yearly, but breaking the plan down in increments of 90 days. And this is like the perfect time for this presentation, right? Because in a couple of weeks, we're going to be entering the last quarter of the year. So this is perfect timing for this. And hopefully you'll be able to go back and like I said, take some things and start implementing them immediately within your business. The first thing, before we even get started and dig in, the first thing you want to do when it comes to planning is to create rooms for your goal. a lot of times what we do, again, we're small business owners, we got a lot going on. A lot of times what we do is we layer goals on top of everything else that we have going on. And depending on how big your goals are, this may not work. It may not be a good idea. You may cause yourself more overwhelm and burnout. So you may need to take some things off your plate. I would recommend that you start thinking about some of the things that you could take off your plate before you start this process, especially if you have really big goals that you are trying to meet. What can I take off? What can I not do? Are there things that I'm going to need to do that I can delegate? Is there a way for me to carve out time? And if we start doing that within our mind, it'll become easier. I caution you about layering additional goals on top of everything else that you may already be having going on in your business and in your life. So with the 90 days, I talked about this a little bit, but the 90 days, you're going to create a detailed action plan each quarter. Detailed, right? So again, it's concentrated focus on fewer tasks. I'm not trying to do all of the things in my business. There's a few things that I'm focused on that's going to move me closer to my goals. I'm going to be able to increase productivity and efficiency because, again, I'm not doing all the things. And it promotes flexibility, right? So, again, I talked about sometimes when you try to put things together for a longer period of time, it ends up being outdated. But if we do 90 minutes, it makes it more relevant and easier to follow and not as overwhelming. And do the people for you that are the people that are on the call, are you solopreneurs? Do you have people that work with you in your business? Like, what's the size of your team? Now I'm going to share what the 11, very good. Team of 12. Okay. So we got teams. So this is really good. Um, so what is the game plan? And just, and just me. Understood. What is the game plan? So again, it's a detailed plan that's going to serve as your guide, your GPS for the next 90 days. And I broke it down into what I refer to as the Prosper system. So this is a framework that I created, and it makes it easy to remember step by step some of the steps that you are going to take when you are actually implementing this. And I'm going to go through the steps, and then I'm going to go through an example of how you could use it in your business. And there is a handbook that Mandy dropped in the chat. You can download that as well if you want to take notes. And then I have some other handouts at the back of it that you could actually use as a template to document your high level 90-day game plan, not the detailed part, but the high level 90-day game plan, and post it on your wall like I have mine hanging up right now. So I broke it down into 3 phases. The first phase is planning. So we're going to determine the business objectives and the strategies, what is it that we're going to use, and identify specific actions and measures to support the goals. I always got to have numbers included in there. Hopefully, you know, those of you that were here last week, we talked about metrics. Well, this builds upon your metrics, and we're going to use KPIs as a part of our goal planning process as well. The second phase is implementation. So this is where you're going to lay out your tasks week by week, day by day, hour by hour. I'm talking about scheduling them on your calendar. And then you're going to outline your plan in your project management software. I recommend a project management software, especially for people who have teams. So it just makes it easier to delegate and see where people are with things. Even before I had anyone working with me, I used a project management software. And then the last phase is monitoring. Being able to track progress weekly and evaluate and adjust as needed is one of the biggest benefits. So you don't have to wait until the end of the quarter to realize that I didn't meet whatever it was that I had planned for the quarter, because I'm tracking on a weekly basis. And as I'm looking at things, I can kind of say, yeah, this is working or it's not working, and I need to make some adjustments along the way. So the first P is prepare. This is where we're going to set the stage. Again, we're not layering anything on top of other things. We are making room. So you're going to set aside uninterrupted time for planning. And I use what I call CEO blocks of time. And this is where I am either planning or reviewing the numbers that have been provided to me, or reviewing the strategy, coming up with the strategy. But this is my CEO time. And this is blocked out on my calendar every single week, because I found that it was really nice to say it, but it wasn't happening on a consistent basis. So I went on my calendar, I blocked it out, and I schedule it every single week. Some of the things that you want to have during this time is your vision and your mission. We want to stay focused on what it is that we are trying to accomplish, because it's really noisy out here, especially if your business is online. So there's a lot of noise. And we really want to make sure that we are focused on what it is that we are trying to accomplish, and not what everybody else is trying to accomplish. And the other thing you want to have is your data. So your metrics and your outcomes. If you are the person that pulls down the information, then you're going to have it. But if you have assigned this to someone on your team, then you just want to make sure that you tell them when you need it by, so that you know when you can schedule your CEO blocks every single week. Because that's going to be instrumental in determining, what those goals are going to be, and if you are on track to achieving those goals or not. So the R is for recap. So this is where we're going to go back and we're going to see what happened and where we are. We are a couple of weeks away from the last quarter. So as we enter the last quarter, you would be looking back on Q3 and just doing a total recap. You know what I mean? Did I meet the goals? How did I do? What did I didn't do? Maybe there were some things on the plan that I didn't follow, you know what I mean, that I need to make sure that I follow. So this is where you're really going to dig in and do that review. So when you start to plan the next quarter, you are making sure that you are taking account for all of those things. This is a great opportunity to really look at your business and determine what you are going to start, stop, or continue doing. So there may be some things that you didn't do that you're going to do. Some things that you tried, they do not work, and you're going to take those off and stop. And then again, there will be some things that you'll just continue doing. So going through and doing the recap and doing the work is really going to be helpful for the next quarter going forward, to make sure that you are as prepared as possible. Then you're going to set the objectives. So what would you like to accomplish? Like, I already know on a yearly basis what my goal is. This quarter, what is it that I'm going to focus on? What am I going to do that is aligned with that yearly, right? Because the objective is to get to that yearly goal. What am I going to do this quarter that's going to get me closer to where it is that I want to be? I like to review the 5 core pillars of business, and I'll just slide quickly forward. The 5 that I'm referring to is the financial piece. So the financial stability and growth, you're going to look at that. Operational excellence, what are things in that area that I could do to move me towards my goal? So as an example, I know a lot of people said money goals, but some people have client goals. I want to serve X amount of people this week, or this year. I want to bring X amount of people on board. So there may be some operational things that you want to put in place to be able to service this amount of people. customer success, this is talking about how you bring value to your customers. This was one of the areas that I really doubled down in this year, and I've seen it pay off. So, what are those things that you could do to add additional value to your customers? What are those things that you could do to get them to either come back for repeat business, if that's the type of business that you have, or at minimum, refer you to somebody else. So I implemented a referral program. So, think about some of the things that you could do as it relates to customer success and customer value. The other thing that I really started to focus on was I wasn't good at getting testimonials. So I did the surveys to, find out how I was doing, but I wasn't good at asking for testimonials. So I ramped that up. The fourth pillar is sales and marketing. And usually we always have something that we could do in that specific area, right? So, maybe if it's a money goal, you may want to implement email marketing and boost your conversions in that area. Like, what are the things that you could do from a sales and marketing perspective? And then the last one is professional development and team. And this is something that sometimes we forget, right? So, how do I grow in terms of, because I'm a vital part of the business. For me, I am the lead consultant, right? So are there things that I can do to enhance my skills that's going to overall help me meet my objectives, and also with my team? You know what I mean? Is the goal to bring on a teammate, or are there things that I can help from a developmental perspective when it comes to my team that loops into my overall objectives? And besides, it's a good thing to invest in you and your team, period. So I'm going to review the pillars, the 5 core pillars of business, and then I'm going to identify goals and objectives from that perspective. And then I'm going to, like I said, minimize the number of objectives. So I recommend only focus on 2 to 4 for the quarter. And I think 4 is extremely high, but I know it can be tough for some people that have like 6 and 7 things they want to accomplish during the quarter, but 2 to 4 would be the max, because if, say for instance, if one of them is email marketing, there's a lot that goes into email marketing, right? So from a objective perspective, it may be one objective, but I may have 2 different strategies that I'm implementing, 2 different things that I'm implementing in order to meet that objective. So you really want to just take a step back and try not to do as much, because we want to move the needle as much as possible in a specific area. And then the last one is visibility. Review it on a daily basis. What are my objectives? What am I trying to accomplish? Hang it up on the wall, make it a screensaver, put it on your phone, whatever you need to do to help you stay focused on what it is that you are going to accomplish this quarter. The S is strategy. So how will you accomplish your goals? What methods you are going to use? Like, just think about, so if I'm going to grow my email list, what are some of the things that I'm going to do? Maybe I'm going to run ads, that could be one thing that I'm going to do, so think about specifically what it is that I'm going to do to meet this specific objective. And each strategy should have a way to measure success. So if I'm implementing a strategy, right, how do I know if it's working or not? And here again, this is where we dig into the numbers, right? So, how do I know if it's working or not? If I have for instance, I want to boost engagement on LinkedIn, right? So I put a strategy in place. It could be a content, strategy. I put a strategy in place. And I have to have a way of being able to determine if it's successful or not, right? And I'm going to go beyond the likes. I want to know, are people coming to my website? Are they, are they buying, or are they downloading the freebie that I have set up, or are they scheduling appointments? I have to be able to measure that. And then you want to identify what's needed. So if I'm talking about a email marketing strategy, I need to make sure that I have, the platform in place. I have the downloadable, whatever it is that I'm going to give, or if I'm going to have them schedule appointments, I have the scheduler in place. I have the resources that I need in order to execute on whatever strategy that I put in place. Then I want to talk about the plan. So here is where what I like to say, the rubber meets the road, right? So this is where you really start to put things together, and it's going to force you to think about your plan on a whole nother level. So a lot of times we set a goal and we say, I want to make, $10,000 this month, or I want to grow my list by 1,000 subscribers this month, or what have you. But until we put the strategy in place and then actually document the task, then it doesn't become real, right? So when we're talking about the plan, we're talking about a step-by-step plan. And again, like I said, I recommend a project management software, especially if you have a team, but even if you have a spreadsheet that you use that everyone has access to. But you want to document all of the tasks that goes into it. So if I'm talking about email marketing, I'm just implementing it, all of the tasks, right? So I got to make sure I have a email marketing platform. I have to create the download. I'm talking literally putting all of the different tasks that need to be performed. And then I'm going to have accountability. Well, who's going to do it? Who's going to do the research to tell us what platform? Who's going to set up the platform? Who's going to create the download? All of this has to be as a part of it. And I need to be assigning to whoever it is that is supposed to be doing it. This is where the accountability come in. Even if it's myself, even if I'm assigning something to myself, I'm going to put my name on it. Tanya, this is Tanya's task. And then we're going to have dates. When is it going to be completed, right? So, if you have a team and you have your team meeting and you know who you're going to be assigning tasks for, everyone has to take into consideration everything everything else they have going on, and the priority of all of the other stuff that they have going on. But some of the things they have going on may not be a priority. So you want to make sure you have the dates included, and then the frequency. How often does this need to be done? So, setting up the platform, that's a one-time deal. Setting up the download, that's a one-time deal. But posting it and sharing it, maybe I'm going to share the download 3 times per week, whatever the case may be. So I have to make sure that I am including the frequency of how often it's going to be done. And just, make sure your team understands where this falls as a priority in relation to everything else that they have going on when we are talking about these dates and the frequency and all of those things like that. And this is where encouraging people to really step forward and say, hey, this is what I have. This is, this is what I have going on. This is what I think I can do and can't do. Having those conversations early on is going to be extremely beneficial so that we don't run into, an issue where I expect something to be done and it's not done timely and it pushes everything back. How are we doing? Everybody okay? You have any questions about anything that we've discussed up to this point?
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat just yet, so feel free to drop your questions or put them in the Q&A.
Okay. So then we are going to execute. This is, again, for you. So your team may do a little different, but I would recommend it for them as well. Block out time on your calendar to perform the tasks that you need. So I am a huge advocate of time blocks. So, sometimes my calendar has these different colors and things like that, but that's because I'm blocking time out. So I know when I get to my desk in the morning what it is that I need to accomplish. Um, because I don't know about you, but for me, it is easy to get lost if I don't keep myself in check. So I got all kind of blockers on my computer where certain things don't show up until a certain time. Just things to really keep me in line, because I can go on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, even my email, and get lost. So I make sure to block out time. I have time to go and check the emails. I'm a really big advocate of time blocking, and it has been extremely, extremely helpful in helping me to accomplish more. Um, so block out time on your calendar. Recommend that your team do it when they're doing their assigned tasks. Also, delegate tasks when you can, right? So as the CEO, you already have a lot going on. So if you have a team and it's not something that you have to do, that doesn't require your skill set, and somebody else on your team can do it, then make sure you are delegating. And the last tip is to set boundaries and minimize distractions. So like I said, I have all the little blockers on there. So I'm not getting any alerts from, social media, and things like that. The thing that I do have is my calendar alerts, because I want to make sure I'm switching tasks and doing what I need to be doing. So between that and my project management software, that kind of helps me to stay on task. Do any of you use a project management software? Any that you specifically like that maybe you could share with others? I use ClickUp. I really like ClickUp. But there's others, Asana, Trello. There's some other really, really great ones out there that are really good for teams. So the last thing you want to do is assess your progress. So here again, you're going to set aside designated time to review your results. So this is where, I recommend your CEO time comes in. If you have a team, you'll probably want to decide if this is something that you want to do alone, or if you want to do it with your team, and then maybe set some separate time for you to do it separately. Like, because maybe it may require a discussion. So decide if you want to review it ahead of a team meeting or after a team meeting. But if you have a team, it's always a good idea to get feedback from, other people that are a part of the process. So make sure you are setting aside time, and then just do a temperature check. How am I doing? Am I on the right track? Am I moving in the right direction? And after, a couple of weeks, you may need to reroute, do some adjustments. Am I where I thought I would be based on the numbers? This is a good time to kind of say, yeah, I'm good, I'm not good. Um, so, definitely, thinking about that. So let's see how like this would look with in thing, right? So I talked about email marketing, and we can do any, example. We can kind of walk through any example. If someone has something that they want to share, that would be great. But let's just say I'm going to do something with email marketing. So I already said I'm going to prepare. So on October 15th from 1 to 3 p.m., I'm going to plan for the next quarter. So that is what I'm doing. And again, it's coming up real quick. So and you want to give yourself an opportunity to get all of your data from the last quarter, and Everything is kind of finalized and closed out. So October 15th is the day from 1 to 3. I'm going to plan my next quarter. Now I'm going to do a recap or review. So I've been trying to, let's say for instance, I've been trying to grow my list, and I realized that people aren't signing up for my email list, right? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to see if I can understand why they aren't signing up. Is it the freebie that I am putting out? Is it the low cost? Because it doesn't have to be free. I have to think about what it is that I'm putting out, for people to download and to sign up for my list. Have I been consistently doing what I said I was going to do? That's usually the first thing I check for. Like, I got this plan and I said I was going to do this, maybe share um, my freebie 3 times a week. Have I done that? And sometimes that's just what we need to do, right? For the next quarter, make sure I am, being consistent and doing what I need to do. So let's say, for instance, my objective is to add 500 subscribers to my list by the end of, should be Q4. Q4. So that's 39 per week, because we are, every single week, we are tracking. So one of the things that I need to do is to create a new download. So a lead magnet. So for me, when I went through this process, one of the things I did was I sent out emails to the people that were already on my list. And I basically was asking them, what can I help you with? Because I wanted to know what was the immediate pain points and decide what type of lead magnet I could put out there for them to download, for other people to download. Based on their feedback, that's how I created my lead magnets. And that's how I have created them going forward. So did all of that, create a new lead magnet. That's one thing that I want to do. The other thing I want to do is create a quiz on my website. And these are just examples, right? So you're going to plug in your information. Create a quiz on my website. So that way when people hit my website, they can do this quiz. And in order to get the results, I'm going to, or the report, I am going to request their name and their email address. And you can set it up, of course, however you want. So I know what I'm going to do. Now, like I said, I assess my audience and I'm right here and I create a freebie. And then the other thing that I have to do is create an email automation. And these are, it's definitely more tasks than this, but I just want to give you an idea of how detailed you really need to be. And when you're starting to do this. So I'm going to assess my audience and create a new freebie. And then I'm going to create an email automation. Now I know what tasks I need to do. Now I need to schedule it on my calendar as to when I'm going to do it. So Monday from 11 to 1, I'm going to create my freebie. And Monday from 2 to 3, I'm going to write the email sequence. So maybe I have designated whatever this Monday is as my content day. And that's what I'm going to do. So it has to be, and I know this may seem a bit extreme, but I find that if you do not do it to this level, you end up missing steps, because what happens is you have this long to-do list and you have all of these things that I'm going to do, but you haven't scheduled time on your calendar to do them. And a lot of times things end up not getting done. When you schedule them on your calendar, you see what you really have to do. And then you start to take a step back and start to prioritize, like, do I really need to do this, right? So can I delegate this? Do I need to delay it? I work on the 4 Ds. You're either going to delegate it to somebody else, you're going to delete it off your list because it doesn't really need to get done, right? Or you're going to delay it. Maybe it doesn't need to get done this quarter because it's not a part of the priorities, or I'm just going to do it. And if it falls into the do category, that means that I need to schedule it on my calendar and get it done. So that's an example of if I wanted to create a download. But then, the same thing I'm going to do over here. For I said I wanted to create a quiz on my website. So that's what I'm going to do over here. I'm going to create the quiz on the website, and I'm going to create the email automation. Again, I'm going to schedule time on my calendar for when I'm going to get this done. And then the last stage is I'm going to review, right? So at the end of the week, once I have all of this live, I'm going to review how many subscribers did I add to my list? Did I meet my goal? If not, did I complete all of my tasks? I'm always asking myself, did I do what I said I was going to do? Because I have found, for me, that has been the number one thing that has stopped me from achieving some of the things that I want to achieve. And then if I did do everything and I still didn't meet my goal, are there some things that I need to do differently? So maybe, I implemented this and it's after a couple of weeks, because you don't want to do anything drastic after the first week. But after a couple of weeks, you take a look at it and it's kind of like, did I do what I was supposed to do or not? And then you kind of have that reality check. Or did your team do what they were supposed to be, they were supposed to do? And again, right, if you're using that spreadsheet or that project management software, you can go in and kind of see, where they are, because they should be making updates and things like that. So you can kind of go in and check ahead of time, or during your team meetings, everybody give an update and say where they are, and things like that. So do anybody have any questions about like this step by step, how you could implement whatever it is that you want to implement within your business, and how detailed you need to be? Um,
Tanya, when you say your email automation and email sequence, do you have a specific software that you're using for that?
yes. So I use MailerLite as my email marketing platform. Um, so some people may use, MailChimp, Constant Contact. Um, there's like so many out there. I like MailerLite because it's easy to use, it's low cost, um, and they have where you can send out surveys, so I don't have to have a separate platform to do that. And they integrate with a lot of things that I use. But yeah, great. So are you, for the people on the call, are you using email marketing? And if so, maybe you could drop what you are using in your business. I find that email marketing is really great for small businesses. I mean, like, yeah. Uh, and just as a really quick sidebar, not only is it a good way to really engage with um, current customers, past customers, and potential customers, but it's a good way to help your bottom line. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. So it is a really great way for small businesses to increase your bottom line. So when you have things going on in your business that you want to share, I find email marketing to be extremely helpful. Um, I'm able to. So these are people that have signed up and said that they either work with me, or they have downloaded my download, whatever it is that I offer. So they are interested. They've already showed an interest. So that's one great thing. And then the other thing is that I'm able to reach more of them on my list than if I post something on social media. So definitely, if you're not doing it, it's something that you could look into doing. Extremely helpful. And then, like again, I said, just that engagement with your, um, just that engagement with your clients, potential clients. So that is that. I want to go and open up the. I want to open up the workbook because there's something in there. So in the workbook, there's two things, right? Uh-oh. Am I sharing?
No, we don't
Oh,
see the screen share.
here we go. All right, sorry
There
about
we
that.
go.
So when I was saying, make sure you have, um, something visual, right? So I have a version of this that is hanging on my wall. I actually blew it up. It's a poster size, but here is your vision. So I always like to include my vision, so I'm not getting lost. I'm staying focused on where it is that I'm trying to go. So I always put my vision that I have for my business here, my annual goal, whatever that is there. And if you have more than one, you can put that there as well. But I like to theme my 90 days. So, whatever theme you want to come up with. For me, I use scriptures for my 90-day themes. So, you can kind of play around with that, whatever works for you. Here is going to be your objectives and your initiatives. So what are these core things? And remember, I said, try to stick to 2 to 4, try not to go over 4, because when you really get into this, it could be a lot of work, but your objectives, you can put those here in the middle. Over to the left is your KPIs. So what are those things that I absolutely need to track to make sure I am on track to meeting my target? What are those things? And um, if you didn't get a chance to review or attend the one that we did last week where we talked about metrics, we really broke down, KPIs and metrics. So here you would have those key performance indicators, those things that you are going to measure that is going to let you know that you are on track or not to achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve for that week, that quarter. So those you're going to put here. Down here, I have 3 key weekly activities. What are 3 things that I need to do every week to make sure I am on track, right? So those you definitely want to make sure you are putting that there. Like I want to say this is all about making sure that you are focused. Now over here to the right, I have a watch list, and there's another sheet that's in here. And basically the watch list, these are the things that you need to watch for that could get you off course. Um, so I'll say, for instance, there was a time that I was really me and technology. I enjoy technology, but I could sit there researching technology. They call it the what is it, the shiny object syndrome. Like I had it really bad, right? I was all over the place. But that was a watch list for me. You know what I mean? So think about the things that cause you to get easily distracted. And then think about what things you can put in place to mitigate that risk. So what's your watch list? It could be technology, it could be social media. Some people get lost in social media where before you know it, 2 hours has passed by. Whatever that is, make sure you have that. So I'm keeping an eye on it because I need to make sure that whatever I said I'm going to do to help me stay focused, that I'm doing it. So if it's blockers on the computer, if it's setting, times to do certain things, whatever that is, I'm going to put that there. And then the last section is opportunities. Are there things that I could do this quarter in terms of opportunities to help me achieve my goal? And we're going to put that there as well. So I'm going to keep an eye out for this, and I'm going to have it posted and review it on a regular basis. I need to turn that. The other sheet that's in here is that this right here, which is the watch list that I referred to. Oh, wrong way. this is included in your workbook, right? So again, those watch lists, right? So if my thing that I need to watch for is the time that I spend on social media, then I'm going to make sure I have an action. What am I going to do to mitigate this risk? And then I'm going to go down, and then we have 3, and these things is what's going to go on that sheet um, for your watch list. So what I find is that when it comes to achieving our goals, we have to be extremely intentional, and it requires, going to this level to make sure that we are staying focused and doing the things that we said that we want to do um, to achieve the goals. So those things from the watch list are going to, you would write them in right here. And then I'm gonna, like I said, keep it posted. So, and then the rest of the workbook is pretty much, you know, just jotting down some notes, anything that kind of hit you that you want to jot down. And it's a good opportunity. So if you go back and you review it and you think maybe I missed something, you can kind of jot that down there. Again, but these last ones, this is extremely vital. Your watch list, these are the key pillars again. So you have those, and then this right here um, is your one pager that you could take and post it. All right. I was trying to leave room for any questions. We have 9 minutes left. So anybody want to drop a question that they have, um, or an example that you want us to try to walk through? I see you drop some links, Mandy. Okay.
Yeah, so the bottom link is the link for last week's Metrics Matter YouTube. So feel free to watch that, because those KPIs that you mentioned, Tanya, are very vital to this process. Is that right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So those key performance indicators.
Yeah. And the ones that I would put on on that one pager would be the ones that let's say, for instance, it's just you and your business, and you get overwhelmed with all of the tracking and stuff like that. Those KPIs that I list, those would be the ones that no matter what's going on, I'm going to track those. I'm going to find out where I am, because they are extremely vital in order to me meeting whatever my objectives are. So you don't have to list everything, but really think about what are the things that I absolutely need to be tracking.
So Tanya, for the small business owner who is already strapped for time and just spending so much time working in their business, what is the value of spending the time to do a process like this? What will be the time saver or whatever in the future?
So the time saver is that what you're going to find is there are certain things that you need to take off your plate that you are doing that is not moving the needle in your business or not moving you close to your goals and objectives. So, that's why I really emphasize scheduling the time on your calendar so you could truly see the time that you have to accomplish what you need to accomplish. And it forces you to go back and rethink the things that you are doing. So, what I find working with mostly solopreneurs that it's just way too much going on, and we're trying to accomplish too many things at once. And I'm not saying that at some point everything can't get done, but it all can't get done at once. So that's number one, right? It's this realization that I have all of these things listed, and it's not realistic for me to get done. So it forces me to go back and prioritize the things that I need to get done and focus on the things that is going to push me further towards my goal in a shorter period of time. And what ends up happening is you find that a lot of stuff you had on your list, you really didn't need to do. It just it just works out that way, But in the beginning, we believe that we need to do, all of the things. And once you start achieving your goal, and a lot of people have goals that are related to their money goals, right? So it's monetary. So when you get to the point where you start making enough in your business, you're able to start hiring people, even if it's not a full-time employee, but you're able to start hiring people to help, and that again frees up time.
So I imagine also as you're thinking about that, that also allows you to be able to learn some of the things you might be able to delegate, either the do or the delegate.
That's right. Do it, delegate it, delete it, or delay it. And some things you're gonna realize that I was trying to squeeze it in and get it done, but I could actually delay it. Nothing's gonna happen if I don't do it this week. You know what I mean? But if I do XYZ, that's going to get me closer to where it is that I want to go. So yeah, I think most of us started like, you know, I started my business. It was just me. It was just me, in my business. And it was tough coming from corporate where I had large teams to now doing everything, but the more organized you get within your business, you're going to start to see that you can get more done than you thought you could. Yeah. And create that watch list. There are some things that are distracting you, you know what I mean? What can you do to kind of um, put something in place where you're not as distracted. So, and it could be tough.
I have noticed for myself that it's as simple as my web browser. If I use Google, it takes me straight to the search where I need to search for something. If I use Outlook, it takes me straight to the homepage with all of the news, and I'm all of a sudden distracted. So for me, it's just as simple as my web browser that I use.
Yes, yes. And I know I keep saying like project management software, but I have to tell you, it has helped me so much. Between that and scheduling things on my calendar, it has been extremely helpful in keeping me focused, because I'm like in my project management software almost all day. Because I can see what's on my calendar, I can see meetings, I can click the link and go to the meeting, so I'm like you. I can't see a bunch of stuff. Because if so, then I'm gonna be all over the place.
Perfect. Well, Tanya, thank you so much for being here. And we have the pleasure of having you back next Friday for Systems Unlocked.
Yes.
So we're going to continue the conversation a little bit further. So make sure you join us next Friday at 11 a.m. Like I said, we're going to have Tanya and we're going to discuss systems that are going to help your business. And addition, please make sure that you take our short survey following this. It really helps us to come up with topics that are valuable and useful to you. So to sign up for the next one, we have our link, the WyomingCommunityNavigator.org. I will drop that in the chat here in just a second. And you can just go to our webpage, WyomingCommunityNavigator.org, in order to sign up for that. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful Friday afternoon.
Perfect.